Hurricane Melissa strengthens to Category 5, threatens Jamaica. Hurricane Melissa intensified into a Category 5 storm with sustained winds estimated at 160 to 175 miles per hour, posing an extreme, potentially record-setting, threat to Jamaica, where landfall is expected late Monday into early Tuesday. Forecasters warn of up to 40 inches of rain, life-threatening flash flooding and landslides, and a storm surge of 9 to 13 feet in vulnerable coastal areas. Jamaican authorities have issued evacuation orders for low-lying communities, opened more than 800 shelters, suspended classes, and closed major airports as the storm's slow forward speed raises the risk of prolonged damage and widespread power outages. Melissa has already produced deadly flooding and landslides in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, with reports indicating no fewer than 4 fatalities, and some tallies higher. After sweeping across Jamaica, the hurricane is projected to track toward eastern Cuba and the Bahamas, maintaining dangerous wind, rain, and surge hazards. Emergency managers urge residents to complete preparations, move to higher ground where ordered, and avoid travel during peak impacts. Aid groups in South Florida and across the Caribbean say staging is underway to deliver relief supplies once conditions allow, but warn that access to isolated communities may remain limited for days.
Prayers to Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, Dominica Republic.
Trust God. God is good. Pray for Jamaica.
Prayers for everyone. Stay safe. Praying for Jamaica. May God keep his people.
It's currently not looking good where I live in Jamaica. There is already outages as well. Please keep us in your prayers. Pray for Jamaica.
Good on USA for helping. Prayers to the volunteers. Bless your kind souls.
The main problems with Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica are catastrophic flash flooding and landslides caused by extreme rainfall, life-threatening storm surge, and destructive winds that will lead to extensive infrastructure damage. This is the most powerful storm to threaten Jamaica since Hurricane Gilbert in 1988.
Praying for Jamaica.
They keep saying evacuate now, but where are they going to go? It isn't like the United States where one can drive to another state. I am praying for the entire Caribbean.
Praying for all in Jamaica.
Milei's party wins key legislative elections in Argentina. Argentina's ruling bloc, led by President Javier Milei, scored sweeping gains in Sunday's midterm elections, taking just over 40% of the national vote and expanding its footprint in both chambers while still short of outright majorities. The result strengthens Milei's hand to push labor, tax and pension overhauls through negotiated coalitions rather than single-party control. Financial markets surged on Monday. The peso appreciated sharply against the dollar as local stocks and sovereign bonds rallied, reflecting investor bets that a stronger congressional position will accelerate deregulation and fiscal consolidation. In Washington, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent reiterated support for Argentina, highlighting a $20 billion U.S.-Argentina currency swap that has already been formalized and ongoing efforts to secure an additional $20 billion in credit backstops. President Donald Trump publicly praised Milei during recent bouts of currency volatility, framing U.S. engagement as stabilizing. Opposition leaders, including Buenos Aires Province Governor Axel Kicillof, cautioned that many Argentines remain wary of Milei's program amid persistent hardship, arguing that social protections and growth must anchor any reform path.
$40 billion of your taxes, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, there goes our 40 billion.
So, now we get to bail them out more.
The election was closely influenced by Washington, you mean?
Is he celebrating for winning the midterm or getting $40 billion?
For $40 billion, I bet anyone can win an election.
$40 billion bailout secured.
What a big F-King surprise. Whoever would have thought? Closely watched, funded by
Machado discusses U.S. anti-drug efforts amid military strikes off South America. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado used a television interview to endorse Washington's expanded maritime campaign against suspected drug smuggling vessels and to press for continued pressure on President Nicolas Maduro. Her remarks followed President Donald Trump's vow to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country, as the Pentagon confirmed the 10th lethal strike since early September against a boat it said was tied to the Tren de Aragua network. The U.S. has also ordered the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group to move into the U.S. Southern Command region, signaling a broader show of force in Caribbean waters. Machado alleged Maduro's complicity with criminal enterprises including the so-called Cartel of the Suns and backed the use of force at sea to cut off revenues for armed groups. U.S. officials, who have designated Tren de Aragua as a terrorist organization, continue to offer up to $50 million for information leading to Maduro's arrest on narcotics charges. Maduro has urged Washington to avoid a crazy war, while U.S. officials say operations are intended to disrupt transnational networks rather than target civilians.
Sounds like it's gonna suck to be you drug cartels. America first.
Unfortunately, it is the only language cartels understand. Remember, they will do their best to hook you and your children on drugs that will ruin your life as a minimum. I think most understand they don't care about your life, only your money.
We the American people approve. Now that's a war on drugs.
Finally, crime is illegal in this country. Make America safe again.
Finally, a president has the balls that the wimpy liberals would never do. He needs to do a third and fourth term.
Thank you, President Trump. Keep it up.
Only President Trump is working hard to get things done. Thank you, President.
I agree with this. Get rid of the people doing harm to others. Drug cartels manufacture tragedies for millions of families worldwide.
Trump, Xi expected to finalize trade framework, avert tariffs. U.S. President Donald Trump and China's President Xi Jinping are expected to meet in South Korea on Thursday to finalize terms of a trade framework that could pause planned tariff escalations and settle remaining issues around TikTok's continued operation in the United States. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said talks with Beijing's lead negotiator have been constructive, with both sides weighing a limited pause or recalibration of China's rare earth export controls as part of a broader de-escalation package. The prospective deal would aim to avert steep new U.S. duties on Chinese imports that the administration had threatened if negotiations failed. It would also lock in operational safeguards for TikTok under U.S. oversight, building on measures announced earlier this fall. The push for a U.S.-China truce comes as Washington's trade frictions with Canada persist. President Trump recently announced an additional 10% tariff on select Canadian goods. With small businesses watching for predictability, officials say any framework will include mechanisms to verify compliance and preserve leverage should either side backslide, while leaving room for sector-specific follow-on talks.
From a hope to a concept of a discussion about a plan.
Last time Trump met with China, he came back and said, I think we have a good deal, and then a couple of weeks later it was, this is the calm before the storm, and then COVID later that year. So forgive me if I'm not thrilled.
Like the war agreement which Israel never attended or signed.
Lol, concepts of a plan.
They always agree on a framework. They never agree on an actual deal.
Until a certain senile man changes his mind for some reason.
El Mao, we've heard this at least 20 times before.
Isn't this the third time that they agreed about framework of trade talks?
We reached a framework, beautiful framework, the best framework UHV ever seen.
Should read, agreed to agree later.
Trump halts Canada trade talks, imposes tariffs over ad campaign. President Donald Trump paused trade talks with Canada and announced an additional 10% tariff after an Ontario government television ad used excerpts from a 1987 Ronald Reagan radio address to criticize U.S. tariff policy. The spot aired during World Series broadcasts and is set to be pulled from U.S. airwaves starting Monday, according to Ontario officials. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation said the ad misrepresented the late president's words, while Ontario argued it used a lawful excerpt of a public address. Trump called the commercial crooked and a hostile act, citing it in his decision to halt negotiations and raise duties. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said he would pause the campaign to allow talks to resume. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney reiterated that Ottawa is ready to return to the table when Washington is prepared. The episode underscores the sensitivity of the tariff dispute and the political risks of cross-border messaging that seeks to influence U.S. opinion amid looming court fights over presidential tariff authority.
Trump is increasing tariffs on his own people as retaliation.
Are we winning?
Remember when people would say women are too emotional to lead?
It's a good thing Trump is so tough and thick-skinned, or he might do something stupid like alienate our closest allies.
Imagine slapping an additional 10% tariff on a whole country because you don't like an advertisement. Childish doesn't even begin to cover it. What is the opposite of a statesman? We have to pay a 10% additional tax because Trump saw an ad that said taxes were bad?
Pushing Canada to work closely with China and the EU. So much winning going on.
Russia announces successful Burevestnik missile tests, plans deployment. Russia said it has completed decisive tests of its nuclear-powered Burevestnik cruise missile, with President Vladimir Putin instructing the military to begin preparing infrastructure for deployment. In a briefing to Putin, General Valery Gerasimov reported that a test on October 21 covered roughly 14,000 kilometers over about 15 hours. A flight profile Moscow touts as evidence of near unlimited range and the ability to take unpredictable routes that complicate interception. Putin described the Burevestnik, known to NATO as SSCX-9 Skyfall, as effectively invulnerable to current missile defenses. Western analysts remain skeptical, noting the system's troubled history and the risks inherent in a nuclear propulsion unit whose performance has not been independently verified. A 2019 accident during a recovery or testing effort near Neonoksa, widely linked by experts to the program, highlighted those safety concerns. The announcement arrives amid the war in Ukraine and broader strategic signaling. U.S. officials and outside experts called the test provocative and unlikely to alter the basic deterrence balance even if the system eventually enters limited service.
No bunker is safe anymore. Russia was the first in space and can always make it on their own if need be.
The intention is to show aggressive NATO and collective West that Russia will protect itself.
The West feels Russia is a shovel, but mentally they are afraid.
Russia will going to test that in Ukraine if Zelensky used Tomahawk.
Akita governor seeks SDF help amid rising bear attacks. Akita Governor Kenta Suzuki announced Sunday he will formally request Self-Defense Forces, SDF, assistance from the Ministry of Defense to address a surge in bear attacks across the prefecture. Governor Suzuki stated that local extermination teams are overwhelmed by the increasing number of incidents and human casualties. He plans to meet with Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi as early as this week to make the request. The governor seeks SDF support for logistical tasks, including transporting and setting up bear traps, patrolling affected areas, and processing captured bears. Current law does not permit SDF personnel to directly cull bears. This announcement follows a recent incident Friday in Higashinoru's Akita, where one person died and 3 others were injured in a bear attack. Akita Prefecture has reported 54 people killed or injured by bears this year as of Sunday, including at least 2 fatalities. Bears have also been sighted in urban areas of Akita City, prompting park closures.
He's a real random killer.
This is not a daily life. A wait-and-see situation. If a child is harmed, it's a big deal. We have no choice but to exterminate them thoroughly.
First of all, request a change in the law on the use of firearms. Self-defense force members are not handymen.
Yes, it is. It is important for the governor to speak out against the state. Pay them more and ask the hunters to do it.
Too scary, I want them exterminated.
This year's bear damage should qualify as a disaster.
There is too much bear damage. I think it is an unusual situation and should be recognized as a disaster.
Police investigate suspected bear attack after man's body found in Japan. The body of a 67-year-old man, identified as Tomio Sato, was discovered Monday morning, October 27, 2025, at a private residence in Ichinoseki City, Iwate Prefecture, Japan, with authorities suspecting a bear attack. Police responded shortly after 10:30 a.m. to a report that a resident could not be contacted. Officers found Sato's severely damaged body in the yard, bearing claw and bite marks. A deceased dog, believed to belong to Sato, was also found nearby. Sato, an unemployed individual, lived alone in the Gembicho district. A bear, approximately 1.5 meters tall, was subsequently exterminated in the area around 1:55 p.m. Police are investigating the circumstances surrounding Sato's death and whether the exterminated bear was responsible for the attack.
The 400 to 500 kilogram class is not vermin but a monster.
If we don't go into the mountains to shoot bears and reduce their population, instead of exterminating them each time they come down to the human village, the number of victims will continue to increase. Every day there are reports of bear fatalities or damage from bears coming out of the city. It's already war. They are now trying to expand their territory, hunting ground. It's no different than having a killer on the prowl.
You can't personally handle being attacked in your own home. It's a complete emergency and the government needs to act.
I am a hunter in my 30s. To be honest, watching the daily news about the bear damage in the east, I can see that they are having a very hard time both physically and mentally. I would like the government to establish hunters as a profession, not as volunteers, and to employ them in all prefectures in Japan.
You describe it as being bitten, but it was probably eaten to the point of being unidentifiable. The total death toll has already exceeded that of the furry ones, and it's crazy that a black bear would attack so many people.
This is now a complete emergency.